Awesome. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another great fun-filled spotlight session. Today's guest, we have one of our own, one of our top producing agents, Miss Nim Sandhu, who's going to do a great presentation for us about everything she has accomplished so far in real estate. She has had a tremendous career so far, and she is only just beginning. I know she's working toward exceeding her own goals and going way beyond where she has already gotten to. But let's give it up for Nim, who is one of our top producing agents coming in, joining us this morning.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you so much. So I'm hoping that everybody can ask questions because I mean I'll start with how I started and all of that, but I'm looking forward to everybody's questions and hopefully answering those and going along as we proceed through this session.
Mhm.
So I mean I started in real estate about 13 years ago when I kind of found myself in a position where I had two little kids, very crazy work schedule, and I needed a little bit more flexibility with for work. I wanted to kind of take them on vacation, spend a little bit more time, and I was in IT, and IT is a can be crazy with you know things that you do on weekends and stuff like that. So I decided to get into real estate. At that point our office did not have any mentorship programs, and I think it's an excellent job that the office is doing right now where you do get that option of working with a senior agent or somebody who can kind of walk you through the process. So I learned on the job, but I had some wonderful people that I reached out to in the office, one of them being Linda, who's no longer with us, but she was just a wonderful person. What I would do is I would get into GSMLS and just look at all the listings she had. And if there was any vacant ones or anything that had been on the market a while, I would give her a call and I'd say, Linda, can I just do an open house for your listing at this? And she'd say, okay, let me check with the sellers. She would check with the sellers and I would be doing open houses. So I literally just started with doing open houses, and I would the key was to follow up with the people who came to the open houses. So now we have like 20 people coming into an open house. At that point it was maybe three people, four people. It wasn't like the crazy buyers or crazy market we have right now. Houses would be on the market longer. We would have fewer people coming to the open houses. But from the, let's say, three, four people who came to the open houses, I would be able to convert at least one or two to work with me as their buyer's agent. So that really helped me kind of grow the business. And then I remember my first listing was actually somebody who came to an open house. She had to buy a home, and then I sold her home. So that's how I got my first listing. And I think even after that, some of my listings, it actually started that way, was just open houses and then follow up. Like I had put them at that time we had E-Edge, which is very similar to the KW command system we have now. And I had them on these drip campaigns. And I would have buyers reach out to me even a year later, and they said, we've been getting your emails and now we're ready to buy, so can you help us? And this is from people who really came to the open house, nothing other than that. I was from in my sphere of influence, I was more of a secret agent because I was coming from a very IT background and I didn't know how to market myself as an agent. People who didn't know me, I was I was the agent for them because that's the only way they knew me. Whereas people in my sphere, it took me a little while to kind of start advertising or, reaching out to them for referrals. And that was at a later point. But the beginning of my career was mostly just open houses because these are buyers who are ready, willing, and, they're out there looking for homes. So they're very active and they're active with their search because they're coming out to look at the open house. So that's really how I started. And then little by little, it kind of grew from there. And then once you have that pipeline going, it takes off.
Good. Awesome. So what I got from that basically is what I hope a lot of you heard her say was she started off doing open houses. Number one, but her follow-up is where she got her deals from, right? Adding people into those, what we now have smart plans, which are drip
Very.
campaigns where you just stay top of mind with people until they reach out to her and say, hey, you know what? We're actually ready to sell. We've been getting your emails. They actually do work. I will say that.
Oh, they
Um,
definitely work. They definitely
yeah.
work. And I mean, and through time, I've tried like different avenues with. I did Zillow for a long time. There were some very good buyers I got from that. That kind of now does not work as well because of things have changed a little bit. But it did work for me when I was doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. And then I did, Smart Zip, which was they have their own algorithm and they kind of, this is more for listings where they target homes and you send postcards out on a regular basis to these homes. So it's a farm that you're building. And I did Joe had actually, Joe, remember we did that? We did an Excel, like I did this whole Excel sheet
Yeah.
of looking at neighborhoods and how many homes sell in that neighborhood per year and if there are any prominent dominant agents in those neighborhoods, so kind of target the neighborhoods where there's more turnaround.
Mhm.
So that helps. That helps when you can actually look at the look at so you know how many. Let's say you're going to be sending out 1,000 postcards or 2,000 postcards. Then if you know that these are the homes that there are going to be like 20 sales in this neighborhood, and those may be buyers as well. So you can target that neighborhood and kind of build from there. That's I have that Excel if anybody wants it, but that was helpful. And then door knocking that neighborhood. So if you're targeting a particular neighborhood, if you can just door knock there, that's I've got leads from door knocking. But I always carry something with me. It's not just door knocking and giving them my
Mhm.
my uh card. It's not just that. I'm carrying like a neighborhood report, recent
Mhm.
sales or the like Hillsborough area and what are the sales, what's the market doing and how we can help you. And then the most important thing again is when you get back, put everybody in the database because
Mhm.
that's kind of the key.
Mhm.
Lot of Facebook, I've been doing reminder media for I think ever, like for 13 years. And that's basically past clients that have bought or sold with me. They all get the magazine.
Mhm.
And that has helped because they don't forget. You may not have, I know there are only so many things everybody can do. And I know I'm not very good with giving everybody a call and that's important. Like you should be calling your past clients and talking to them, but I know my weaknesses and I know that that's not something that I do. But my way of keeping in touch with them is to send them the magazine, and that
Mhm.
really helps because they never forget me. Like I'll call them and say, oh, there's an investment opportunity, would you like to look at this? And I've had like a buyer buy with me multiple times or a seller buy something, and they've become investors or they've looked at other opportunities or they remember me when they're looking to move. It's
Mhm.
only because I'm at least keeping in touch with them through
And,
the
and,
through the
and then
magazine.
how often do you send out that magazine every year?
It goes out it's not like every other month, but it goes out almost 6 or 7 times a
Yeah.
year.
So do you know how many people you're sending it to right now?
Yeah, I'm sending it to about 250,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you guys know Reminder Media is a really valuable resource, and
Mhm.
uh, Lawrence, I'd say we do a class on that. But with the magazine, it's about $4 and change per magazine, but it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous, and
Mhm.
it sets you apart from your competition, where somebody's sending out just a basic flyer mailer that's almost handwritten or printed off their printer. It's a piece that sets you apart from your competition. For NIM to do that 6 times a year, I mean that's huge. That's huge. So 250 people. So let me ask you, NIM, it's an investment for you, correct?
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's an investment because when I go to their house, let's say they've called me for, they're looking to sell one of their properties or they're looking to move, and I go to their house, it's happened where it's lying on the table, that magazine, or it's lying in
Mhm.
their powder room on a table, or they've got the recipe cards taken out and they say, oh, that recipe, and I don't know, I haven't even looked at it, but they know and they bring it up.
So
Mhm.
what I do, because I use Reminder Media as well for the magazine and other things as well. I know the recipe cards are there. I'll use that. I'll actually make that recipe. I'll make it, and they're
Oh,
always great. No, they're always great. I'm not going to kid you. And then
yes.
what I do is I'll follow up, like 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later, whatever it might be, and reach out to them. Hey, Nim. Hey, this is Joe Koza. Listen, I just tried a recipe on a 4 bean salad, whatever it is. If you didn't get a chance to try, give it. This is amazing. Oh yeah, I saw this. It's another contact that you get at the. It costs you nothing but a phone call. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes,
Great
that's exactly what I'm saying, Joe. It's so important to give them that call. And everybody has weaknesses and everybody has strengths. So lean on your strengths. And if you're aware of your weakness, then you can make something else stronger. And I know I'm not the calling person who's going to call everybody because I'm just so busy I have 3 kids and I have my in-laws living with me and I have other work. Like I was the PA treasurer. I had a PA meeting this morning. So I have like so many things going on. It's just sometimes difficult to dedicate time to make calls, and that's okay because I do
Mhm.
it in other ways. So
Mhm.
definitely, I mean, do what you can do. Don't shy away from um, doing even just the little things. So do a little bit of whatever you can do. At least do something. That's the
Mhm.
key. Do something.
Right, like they say, just focus on getting 1% better every day.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So if
Absolutely.
yes. So I found that one of my strengths was the open houses originally, and I would do a lot of open houses. Like a lot, like I would every other week I would be doing open houses, if not every week. And that was very good to me. Because I was able to talk to the buyers when I was at the open house and I knew the market. So the other thing was when I was at the open house, it wasn't just selling that house. Like I would show those buyers that I know the market. So one of the things I do religiously every day is I look at what's come on the market, what's selling, how much it's sold for, what are the market stats, what's the absorption rate, I know the inventory in the towns that I'm working in. Like I know what's going on. So that, and every day, like that's like it's, so I'm not a morning person, so I don't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning but if you're a morning person, definitely do it in the morning. I'm a late night person, so at 12:30 at night, every night is when I'm looking at what's just what came on the market that day, what sold, how much it sold for. If I need to go see the property, I'll go do a preview, so that when you're talking to a buyer, they feel that you know the market. And when you're talking to a seller too. So when you go on listing appointments, if you can tell the seller, oh, that house didn't have this upgrade, or the other house had this going on and your house doesn't, or however you put it, if they know that you know the market, they automatically have this sense of confidence in you and using you as their agent.
Mhm. Very
And
true.
what do you focus your business on, Nim? Is it most of it in one town, one area?
So yes, I would say most of it is not one town. It's more the central Jersey, the areas I know. So I've lived in East Brunswick. I'm familiar with East Brunswick. I've lived in Hillsborough, Franklin, Montgomery. Of course, we're all familiar because the office is there. So this is the prime Bridgewater. This is my primary area, but I do go, of course, north and south depending on
Mhm.
the client.
So you're not stuck in one town. Not stuck, that's a bad word. You're not focusing on one town. You do have an area that's wider than just Montgomery.
Yes, that is correct.
And I think in this market, you almost have to, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
It's great to focus on one town, but by focusing on one town, you're in a position where there's a limited amount of business there. You kind of have to
Mhm.
expand in this market. You really do.
Yes,
Right.
that
I would agree.
is
Some of our newer agents, you guys have any questions? You have someone that's really experienced here that has some good stuff she's been giving so far. I'm taking notes, so
Yeah, what was that? Reminder Media, that's what it's called?
yes, that's a company that does postcards and magazines.
They also have a
Okay.
social media
Yes, they have.
marketing.
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
really pretty amazing, actually. So,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
So what I'm getting from them is to have a consistent follow-up system because she has one, like she said, she's extremely busy. She's doing a bunch of other things that is taking her mind here, there, and everywhere, and she doesn't always have time to follow up with her clients. So her best practices are her smart plans that she puts everyone into, the reminder media magazines that she has going out, and like she said, she does some, some mailers here and there, and some door knocking as well, to kind of add into her activities. So it just seems like you have to have different, avenues to create and sustain your business, basically. You have to have a great follow-up system. You have to have a good, go after it system. You have to have a system, basically system for everything that you're doing. There's not one thing that kind of just, you can just leave on the table.
Yes, that is correct. And also constant education. Like we had, Steve Black over, and I signed up for his social media thing because that's something that I need to grow with. So I'm going to be working on that, and I'm doing going through that program and other programs. So like you give yourself, I would say everybody should have, that this year, this is what I want to focus on, and then do something about that, learn, go sign up for a program or something that'll help you, and anything you like. I think anytime you do something and you do a program, or you learn from someone, you get something from that. You always learn something new that can help you in your business. I mean, I don't know who it was, but I did some listing, a listing program. And one of the things that person said, some of them are even online on YouTube and other stuff. But one of the things that that person said was that I have kind of uh, put into my business, right, or I use it for myself, is that whenever you're going on a listing presentation, just think of it that take your average, whatever your sale average, your commission check is going to be for that listing, and just imagine that check is sitting on that table in front of you when you go for your listing presentation. And that's what you're going to lose if you don't get that listing. It's not just a listing, it's that money you're going to lose if you don't get that listing. And if you see that check and you're thinking about it when you're at that listing, you're going to bring that energy that you need. You're going to do the work ahead of time. You're going to take those stats and do whatever you need to do to basically earn that check. But if it's just an appointment and you're just going there and you may get it, may not get it, if you're just thinking of it with that kind of an attitude, then I think it's helped me when if I think, okay, I'm going on this listing and my check is going to be, you know, 15,000, and that's what I'm going to lose if I don't, take everything I need to take, or, do the best I can to get that listing. It helps you, it pushes you.
I agree. I would definitely agree to that. Joe, how do you feel about that?
No, I totally agree. I think what happens is you walk out of there and you don't get the listing and you don't think about the money lost. And then,
Hmm.
and the thing is, I would take a similar approach. I would say put that money in your pocket. You don't get the listing, give it back. Okay. Because that pain
I,
that
I
pain is
like
even
that.
that pain is even greater. You had the money, you're giving it back. That pain is even greater because when sitting on a table, yes, that's an opportunity to lose that money. I think you have to go in with that mindset, and that's where you have to be really a good salesman, And I don't like the word salesman at all in our business because we're really not salespeople. But you have to be really good about closing people and understanding what you're presenting and understanding asking questions. But are you prepared for a quality listing presentation? I can guarantee you Nim is. I can guarantee you Nim goes on listing presentation. She is ready to rock and roll. She can handle the objections because guess what? One, she's got 13 years of experience to do that. Okay. Two, she knows really doing the homework before what she could talk about so she can get the objection saying, I got the answer. So that increases her chances of taking that listing and making that $15,000. And $15,000 is a pretty good chunk of change. All right.
Absolutely.
So
I
yeah,
take it.
yeah. Just a point about Nim too, because years ago Nim came to me and you touched on this before about farming. And we sat down a couple of times about how to establish the right farm. And Nim didn't say, "Oh, Joe, you're full of crap. Let me just do it my way." She went through a process and she put together a spreadsheet that blew my mind away. And Nim, thank you because I asked your permission. I've used that for teaching farming many times over. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of agents that have that spreadsheet right now. Okay. But it allowed Nim to pick the right farm. so that she can market to the right area and get the best return on her dollar. And so, but she, as a professional, didn't just throw money at the table and said, I'm going to market to this neighbor because I love these homes. She did her homework on that, and she's been marketing that way effectively. So being smart is incredibly important. Understanding return on investment is important too. So kudos to them for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Nim, what's your circle of excellence level this year?
Gold this year, Lawrence.
Gold.
Thank you.
Clap it up. Clap it up.
Slackard, you couldn't be
What are
platinum,
the
slackard.
what are right? What are the qualifications to receive gold in Circle of Excellence?
It's you have to have 25 units,
Hmm.
and you have to have 12 million in your volume and in your dollar volume.
12 million in volume, 25 units. That's a goal. Everyone hear that? It's everyone's goal for next year. We're all going to reach gold. 25 units, 12.5 million. We can all do this. Following NIM's system.
So I do have an Excel sheet where I start putting it in the beginning of the year, like every
Mhm.
time you have a transaction, and so you're seeing your progress, and then I have a little weekly column where how many units you need, so you kind of move backwards from
Mhm.
that number and start seeing minus. Okay, oh, I've already qualified for bronze, or I've already qualified for silver, or I'm qualifying for this. It kind of you can see your progress. That helps
That's
if
a
that's
good
your aim.
Yeah, that's a good idea because I feel like I don't track my progress like that way at all. I kind of just, go on the MLS. Oh, okay, I had a listing closed, I had this closed, and I don't really see it myself. So that's actually a really good idea to do of tracking, what you're doing throughout the year and seeing, keeping track of all that stuff. I think that's a good idea. Something I'm not doing.
Yes, yes, and that way you also know you know what you're aiming for. Like, I mean, if you ask me, so if I was aiming for platinum, like I would be doing 20 million and 30 units. So you
Mhm.
can see it right there. Okay, that's what I need to get to that
Mhm.
level. If you're aiming for bronze, okay, I need these many units to get to get to that, and you never forget. Like, it can't be at the
Mhm.
end of the year, oh, I made this or I didn't make this. It's something that you're you know well, if
Pushing
if
for.
that's a goal, that doesn't have to be a goal. It could be, there
Yeah.
are many people who don't do gold and still do a lot of volume and
Hmm.
high number luxury properties, and they do wonderfully well. But if you do have set some goals for your, this is one of the things you could do.
Right. So I'm really impressed by, you getting achieving a level of gold in Circle of Excellence, being that how you told us how busy you are in your normal day-to-day life, raising three kids, having your in-laws with you, still maintaining your real estate career and still able to do so much is really incredible. So I give you a ton of credit for your resilience, your persistence, your consistency. You are truly, truly doing it. And I'm astonished to just sit back and watch you work.
No, thank you, Lawrence. Thank you.
Absolutely. Does anyone have some questions that they would like to ask Nim? I think now is a great time to ask her some questions as far as what she does as far as prospecting goes, other than open houses, if anyone is interested to know, because
I am. I had one
am.
question.
Yes, Nitisha.
After you send out the postcards to your farming area, do you follow up or do you just kind of wait to get a response?
So I do follow up. Like, so the farming area, I actually go and door knock and when the weather is better. And if there is, like, when I with Smart Zip, I would actually go to the house and drop off something. Maybe just recent sales in the, in the area, or just the monthly Hillsborough Township stuff. I can show you what I do if anybody is interested. And that just, when you meet people and you talk to them, it just builds a connection that you can't get just with a postcard. So if you just do the postcards, and they see it and they don't see you in person, the connection will not be as strong as if you do just stop in, door knock, talk to them for even just 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. I was just in the area, and let me show you. For example, like this is a postcard for Hillsborough that shows you, so it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's just got my information. It shows the township stats
Mm-hmm.
and just some literature in the back about me and what's happening in the market. So they're not interested so much in me, but at least they're interested in what's happening on the market if they're going to be selling. So if you just take that and, just stop in and say, I just wanted to drop this off for you, and, do you have any questions? This house just recently sold. The market is doing great. And that little connection kind of helps kind of build from there.
Thank you.
Cool. Is there a question in the chat? I think we should be a class on postal campaigns and how to put the program together. Cool. We'll look into that. So Nim, what are some beside your postcards and your door knocking, what are some other ways that you use, like what are some other strategies you use to get listings and buyer clients?
So I was, I've tried many different things. As I said, Smart Zip. I was one that I recently did. That was that target markets. They have their own algorithm. They're looking at who is in the based on their calculations, who is most likely to be selling, and
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of target those people.
Mm-hmm.
I did Upnest through Realtor.com as well. That wasn't as successful, but I did get some leads from that as well. And I did work with people, like I'm still working with people from that program as well. That was good. Um, and then the database, like you look at your database, and just if you're calling somebody, that okay, this house is rent, like I reached out to my clients, all my investors who had bought rental properties, and if any one of them wanted to, so I showed them the value of their property. So I would just do a Zillow screenshot of their property,
Mm-hmm.
the property value for their property value, and I would send it to them and say, would you like a more in-depth? The market is doing great. There's great value in your property. Do you want to sell at any, yeah, there are people who would at least, maybe one or two people would say, yes, give me more details. I'm thinking of selling. As a matter of fact, I have an appointment with from just doing this with um, one of my clients who we're going to be listing the property this month, but he had a rental property and he's looking to sell that, and he's going to be selling it. So that, and also classify your database. So if you know that there are investors, then classify them as investors, so that when there is a property, that if there's a property that I see, so for example, there's this development in Warren that just I just went to preview it recently, and I looked at the numbers, and the program, they were giving out there was a discount kind of going on at that point of time when I went there, and
Mm-hmm.
I sent out the this thing that there is a discount going on, and there is, for this property, and look at the numbers, there's good returns, this is what it could rent for. And I had 3 sales in that development just within a matter of like a month, because that program was a short program,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them is closing this month. So
Wow.
that was just because I had a database of investors that, okay, here, and if you send them, so it's not like like I'm looking for them on but if I see something and I know that database is there, then I can just send everybody that message. And then if somebody is really looking at that point of time and they see it, they'll respond to that. And also for the follow up for open houses, like, when I have people coming into the open houses, and, I'm following up with them, okay, thank you for coming to the open house, blah, blah, blah. I always try to add some value in there for them to follow up with me. It could be anything. It could be something, oh, this is the interest rate, and, there is just that Vibha has $1,000 discount if somebody wants to use Montgomery Mortgage, talk to her. Is that available? Can I just put it in my email and send it over? Anything that you're aware of. Maybe there's like Bank of America had what do you call that, uh, it was a grant, sorry, not a rebate, but it was a grant available for women. So I just put that in, and then people call you because that's a value to that client, to the buyer.
Mhm.
So if you can provide them with even any little value, then they will reach out to you, because it's not just thank you for coming to my open house, but you're actually giving them some value
Mhm.
and encouraging them to call you back. And you can find these programs that are available online, and through just keeping in touch with mortgage people and other vendors that are in the industry. Like, there's always something going on.
I love it. This is good. Is everyone else getting some nuggets this morning? I'm getting a lot of them.
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. Does anyone else have some more questions? You guys are quiet this morning. This is unusual. Oh, Odile has a question. Go ahead. Or are you giving a thumbs up? Odile's giving a thumbs up. She likes it. Awesome. So yeah, Nim, what are your goals for the rest of this year? What are you working on? How are you going to uh reach for platinum next year, right? How are you scaling your business this year?
So for me, it's platinum. I mean, I would love to get to platinum, but my aim is still going to be gold right now, just because I have one child going into, I'm going to be doing a lot of college tours this year. My
Hmm.
son's going, he's a junior this year, so that's what I need to do. Last year was my daughter, so so
I know the feeling. I just went through
Yes,
that.
yes. So my aim is still going to be gold. But yes, once the kids are done, and I do have a little one, so that's going to be a while. But once I have time, yes, definitely, I am going to be aiming for that. And it's more my aim this year is getting better with social media. So I'm going to be kind of working on that. I've already signed up my son, who's a photographer, who loves taking pictures. I've had him, I've given him that list of pictures to be taken. So for social media. So
That
yes.
works.
So I'm going to be starting with that.
Okay. So
Hey,
what would be oh, go ahead, Joe.
no, I was going to say, Nim, so we're in a different market now for the past couple of years. What are the biggest challenges you're running into in this market, and what are you doing to overcome those challenges?
So I think one of the big things that a lot of buyers were confused about last year was the buyer's agency, the way the agency, kind of changed,
Hmm.
and same thing with the sellers. But first to, kind of work, let's see, I'll tell you what I did with the buyers, and I'll tell you what I did with the sellers. So for the buyers to, for me to get that buyer's agency signed, I just do a very simple thing. I tell them that here is the buyer's agency. Every offer that we're going to be writing, we're going to request the sellers to pay the commission.
Hmm.
And I'm working hard, just like to get you that perfect home. And nobody has ever questioned it, or is worried about signing it, or anything like that, because I'm giving them, like, this is when I'm going through that, when I'm talking to them, I'm showing them, okay, this is what your closing cost is going to be, these areas are good for you. They're very confident, and they don't mind when everything is going on and you're talking to them about everything. They don't mind just signing that piece of paper, and I fill it out where they're comfortable with it. I'm not looking. I know everybody's, as a buyer, they have certain restrictions with the amount of funds they have, or what they have their closing costs, they have their moving costs, they have their down payment to pay. So traditionally the industry has been that the seller is going to be paying the commission. So I'm just trying to keep it that way for the buyers. So, and they're quite comfortable with it. They have no objection, because obviously they don't mind that the seller pays the commission. I've never had a seller say no, we are not going to pay the commission if we're putting in a very good offer. So that
Hmm.
has not been. And when I go to the sellers and we're talking about the commissions, I basically tell them that there was a point of time where there was confusion, and there were people, sellers were wondering why should they be paying the commission, and why whatever else. But now with the stats coming out, any home that does not, where a seller is not offering commission, is sitting on the market longer, and it's, it's not. They will still be accepting most likely an offer where there is some commission paid out to the buyers from the seller, and it has never happened. The ones that are selling, that are selling over list and with multiple offers are all offering the commission to the buyer's agent. No seller has really said that, because all of them want the highest net. So net is what we're kind of focusing on. And when we're talking
Mm-hmm.
to them, we say if you want to net the maximum returns on this wonderful investment that you have here, then that is what we need to do. And they're willing to do, because we are the experts. So if you're showing them and you're telling them the stats, then they are willing to do what's required. And one of the things that is needed when you're selling your home is you need to offer, because buyers are doing the down payments, there are some very qualified buyers who are, right now we are in a market where homes are not appraising, and they're going over the list price. And if that's the buyer you want, they need to have some funds, some additional funds, then that's, we need to basically be offering the commission to the buyer's agents.
Are you asking listing agents prior to showing the property if the seller's offering compensation, or are you only doing that
No, I
upon
mean, I do ask them if they're putting in an offer, what they're offering. But even if they're not offering, we're putting it in the offer.
even if they
And that's what I'm seeing even on my listing. So the offers that are coming in on my listing, by the way, there are agents who are asking for 3% commission. There are agents who are, even if we are offering 2%, there are agents who are putting in offers with 2.5%. There are agents who are putting in, if they've already asked me, they may just put in, if it's 2%, they'll put in 2%. But there'll be offers there with 2.5%. There'll be offers there with 3%. That's what I'm seeing on my listings. So
Hmm.
agents are, this is a wonderful thing that has happened, because now the buyer's agent can decide what commission they want to charge.
So now we're
Hmm.
in the middle of negotiating commissions while we're negotiating a transaction.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you are, literally.
Yeah.
So an
Oh.
offer comes in, and that's all part of the negotiation. That's
Well,
great.
I had this multiple offer Excel sheet, which was always, we were always doing the net, because there were times where, there may be something with, so my multiple offer spreadsheet had the agent's information and the percentage of commission and what was the net. It was always there. So now I'm just changing the percentage depending on what's written in the offer.
Hmm.
Nothing has changed really.
That's a
The
good point.
net, we're still looking at the net. We were always looking at the net.
Yep.
Right. Still always looking at the net, right? I agree. Um, this happens to me too, negotiating commission during offer negotiation. Yes, it is happening. Agreed. Any questions? Nim, I would say, what would be, some advice to new agents on where to start all of this? Like, where do they begin? What's the first step in getting off the ground to starting a career that's going to be successful in the future?
So I think the database is very important, like growing that database. And my way of growing the database was doing the open houses, because as I said, those are active buyers that you can grab if you do the right thing. So it's not just randomly reaching out to somebody who may be thinking of buying or whatever else. These are active buyers who are going to be buying. And if you are able to convince them when they meet you and follow up with them, you should be able to get to work with some of those buyers. So the key is basically get yourself out there, expand your database in however you can, door knock and get, but it's a longer process, because it's not, if you door knock a neighborhood and you maybe get a few, information from a few people, it's not like those people may be selling this year. The buyers are going to be buying as soon as they can. It's a lot of, now it's a lot of work, because you're writing a lot more offers before an offer is accepted.
Mhm.
Earlier it was not the case. You would show them a few homes, they would put in some offers, and you could potentially be working with them and they would close relatively soon. Now, I believe it is definitely a longer process just because the inventory is less, there is more competition. Educating those buyers is again is a key. So showing them the stats and showing them where the market is moving to, and so that they can put in a good offer on the homes they are putting in offers on and have one accepted relatively soon. That's the key.
Okay. We do have a question. How many houses did you sell in your first year, and what were your biggest struggles?
So my first year, I think I don't think I sold very much the first year, maybe of one or two or something like that. It wasn't My first year was not the second year I did make bronze. My first year was more a learning experience because, as I said, when I joined I knew nobody in real estate, so I knew no realtors, and I came from an IT background, so I didn't know anybody in real estate or how real estate worked. My first year was basically educating myself, and there were no mentors in the office either. So there was no, team leader following up or off. Like it was just you were on your own. So I went to KW Connect, like the KW University, and
Mhm.
I went through every video, Diana Kokoska, like I went through all her videos and all the other, everything there is to learn about the process. And I, that was my first year. My first year was basically a learning year. It was basically just, how does real estate really work, and what can I do to, learn this process, and getting out there. Now, I didn't know what open houses were. How do you, and that's what I was doing. How do I start? Like, what do I do? Okay, so let me reach out to this agent. Let me see what's available. Let me reach out to this agent. Let me start following up with these buyers. And the second year was when all of that kind of hit. So I did the work in the first year, but the closings for that work happened in the second year, and that's why I made bronze. The second year is when, everything kind of took off.
Nice. Follow-up question to that is, then what kept you going if you weren't bringing in much income? Great
Um,
question, by the way, because
So for me, fortunately, I would say, okay, so fortunately for me, I was also part-time consulting, with my IT career. So it wasn't that the first year was a full, I was still consulting with my IT, with the company that I was working with. I was consulting with them. So I did have that balance a little bit the first year, and then I cut it off and I moved to entirely real estate after that.
Good, good, good. Anything over here? Oh, sorry, same question. Okay, Odile, does that answer your question? Yes, I hope so. So yeah, so I would say to that, as well as what kept you going, during your first year. My first year in real estate was very similar to yours as well, was, mostly learning. We had Joe. Joe was my mentor at the time, still is to this day. Um, so I had him to kind of guide me, and it was just all about learning throughout that first year. I did one or two deals, the same as Nim, during my first year. But eventually, I just focused on, like Joe told me, to focus on mastery, right? The goal is to master real estate. The goal is to be the best real estate agent you could possibly be, and this is the time to do it before you get busy, right? Before you get to those clients, before you get to speak to everyone, you kind of should know the ropes and what you're getting yourself into. So it's kind of like what I just focused on every single day. Then the following year got
And you
better.
have the time. The first year
Yeah.
you actually do
The
have the
first year you
time
actually
to,
have, this is the only time you're going to have the
yeah,
time in order
to
to
actually do
do
that.
all of that.
Yeah.
Once you get into it, it's chaos. It's good chaos, I'll say.
Good
Good,
guess.
great chaos. But it's a lot more work, and you have a lot less time to do these trainings and to learn and to read and to follow up with different videos and things like that. So take the time to actually learn the craft of real estate before just jumping right in, going straight to the money. But that's a good thing to not forget about either. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? I got a lot out of today's today's spotlight. I thank you again for coming on and giving us some of your great years of expertise and your experiences and things like that. Anyone
Yeah, I have,
else?
I have a quick question. Nim, are you going to be sharing your spreadsheet either with Lawrence so he can send it? I know he sends a follow-up after a meeting is over of, because I think you mentioned too, you have a spreadsheet, or is that in the MLS with the you're finding out the net, that part, and then you said when you did the neighborhood review, you have a spreadsheet for that.
Yes, so I have two spreadsheets. One is, the progress, your personal progress through the year, and one is for the farming, neighborhood. I can share both of them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yay, we get some NIM secrets.
Well, I wish
She's opening the vault for us, guys.
everybody
Okay.
should be using those, and they're good tools.
Nice. Nice, nice. Okay. Nim, do you have anything else that you would like to share?
No, anybody have any questions I can answer, but yes, there's no secrets. It's just hard work, follow up, follow up, follow up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's no magic bullet to real estate. There's no, golden fleece that you can put on is all of a sudden going to make you a top producing agent overnight. There's no any of that. It took me a while to actually come to terms with that. Me and Joe had plenty of arguments of me going over like, hey, well, I just need to find this one thing and I can just do this. And he's like, that's not how it works. It just, you're not. It doesn't work that way. So yes, I now know that. Thanks, Joe.
God, you learned something from me, huh, Nim? Wow.
I
Lawrence,
learned a lot from you, Joe.
Lawrence is a lost case. I can't help it.
And I'll tell you, Joe, the one thing that I learned, one of the great things that I learned from Joe was I took my listing presentation to him, and just like you sometimes feel that, oh, I'm doing a great job with this listing
Mhm,
presentation, but when you share it with somebody and you do that listing presentation in front of somebody else, they can give you some, positive or some criticism, some positive
mhm,
criticism, I would say, that you can learn from, and kind of hone that skill a little bit if somebody else tells you, because you don't see yourself,
mhm.
you can never find your own faults, but when it's coming from somebody else and you take it positively, you can really help yourself, get better.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
a
I
very
would
valid
agree.
point. That's a valid point, Nick, because what I'll say to you is that if you have a listing presentation and you've really not made one to anyone, and your first person is going to be a real live person, that's
Hmm.
your worst presentation ever. I would say to you, connect with another agent, top agent, not somebody equal to you, somebody that's a better producing agent than you are. Make your listing presentation to them once, twice, then find another agent, make two or three more, then go to Lawrence, then go to Nim, go to me. Make that presentation 15, 20 times. So when you get to the 21st time, it's not your worst time. And you'll be
Hmm.
more confident about what you're talking about, the questions you ask, how you present yourself, because that'll make a difference because you don't want to be botching it up on your first presentation. My
Hmm.
first presentation, I had my manager sitting next to me, literally sitting next to me, and there's a foot and a half snow outside. And we had a binder that was like the big 6-inch binder. And it was like bigger than the house. And it was presenting it, and I was like stumbling because I never made one before. And I'm counting on my manager to fill in the gap. And he just sat there. I was like, help me out, help me out. I got the listing, but it was kind of weird. But yeah, but practice on with other people. Don't practice on a live body. Okay.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
I would agree. Joe used to always tell me, don't practice on the money.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, you don't want to lose that check.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that check. Don't practice on the money. I remember thinking I was really, really good on script practice and like cold calling and stuff. And I called Joe and he goes, "Yeah, give me your best script." And he just, yeah, the criticism was enough to make me go back and start practicing all over again.
And it's
So,
it's positive though. It's positive.
yeah, definitely
Not
positive. And like I said, it was good enough to let me know that I needed to go back and redo that again. Like, okay, you're on the right track, but you need some polishing. Let's do this again. You need to practice it a few more times and get better at it.
and
And eventually it worked out.
sometimes, all kidding aside, I'll be my office is upstairs in my house, okay, and it's a big loft area and everything else, and my wife will be downstairs, be late at night, and I'm making calls. Sometimes I'll hang up, and she'll say to me, my wife, mind you, not in real estate, she's a teacher. It sounded better if you said this as opposed to that. Like, what the heck? But for the most part, yeah, she's giving me that positive criticism. It makes a difference. Yeah, let me tweak that comment. So But
Right.
Nim did, I mean, quite frankly, I can tell you right now, Nim's presentation is probably spot on, spot on,
Mhm.
you know.
I've
Absolutely.
changed it over time so many times, but and you just find the things that people like, that people respond to in the presentation, and then you make those things a little bit better. So over time, it just, yeah, you get comfortable with what you're doing.
Mhm.
Lawrence, just as an FYI, maybe you want to set this up. Have a presentation class that's Zoom. Okay. What I mean by that is have it so let's take Nim and I. Nim's presenting to me as a seller. Okay.
Mhm.
And let Nim and I have the screen, or two people, wherever we decide to be, and make a presentation with that person that's sitting across the table, giving objections. How do they
Mhm.
handle objections? What's their schedule in making a presentation? They might help everybody out a little bit to see
Mhm.
that. Wow. So that's how a
To see
list.
what it looks like. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there might be something you want to put together in reference to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Taking a note now. Cool. Awesome. So, anyone else have anything else? We're all good? Everyone ready to enjoy the weekend? I'm going to be extremely busy all weekend, so I don't know what enjoyment of the weekend is anymore. Like Nim probably as well, like
That's
Joe
good.
as
That's
well, like the
good.
rest of us, all going to be very busy this way, prospecting, working on our follow-up plans, getting everything ready to go, right? Because we all have something to do now, okay? Nim has given us a blueprint to what to do, what to get started with, what to everything, okay? How to follow up, all that stuff. You guys should be a better agent today than you were yesterday with this information, hopefully. So
Thank you.
I do thank you all for coming on today. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nim, for coming on. Thank you, Joe, for always being a great support to all of us. And I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a great weekend.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lawrence. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bill.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
Thank
everybody.
you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.